Just waiting for it to say on air on the top. Awkward moment. I'm trying to be quiet so he starts it, but never. Okay. So apparently we're live. It just didn't change on my screen. It doesn't tell me we're live.
Okay.
So I'm just going to start. All right, everyone. Welcome to Reality.
I can't.
Okay, she froze. So I'm just going to stay on. Welcome everybody to Reality Insider, brought to you by Get Real LOL. We have the wonderful and amazing Nia with us from the Real World Portland originally, but of course this season she is on the Real World Challenge Battle of the Exes 2. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. I just wanted to say that it is a pleasure to have you, Kylie, and Kendall with us here today.
They're so like not amused, but hey, they don't have a choice.
Well, that's okay. I'm sure Mommy will give you a treat after that interview's done. So, all right. Now, let's go ahead and start off with the interview, but let's start off with the very first question. You guys all arrive, and you're there. You're TJ11, of course, who's been the host of most of the challenges, announces that, okay, guys, here we are. You guys never know what the challenge is going to be, so he announces it's Battle of the Exes 2. Who did you think your partner was going to be? Did you? Well, I don't think you. Did you know it was going to be Leroy?
I knew it was either going to be Leroy or Jordan because Jordan and I had made out, even though obviously it wasn't a romantic thing. It was more of like an evil strategy for me in Real World Portland. I knew we had made out, and me and Leroy allegedly did like one thing. So I was like, well, they both kind of have the same weight, so it just depends. But once they told me it was Leroy, I was like so happy because for one, he's a hell of a competitor. But two, we don't have an emotional relationship, so everyone else had like a bunch of crazy relationship drama. We didn't. And he's also the funniest guy you will ever meet. So I was like, I already am attached to his hip already, so it's going to be even more enjoyable for me to have him as a partner.
Well, I'm not sure. You said that making out with Jordan and what you allegedly did with Leroy has the same weight. Come on now.
It was so small. It's like, okay, there was that one makeout with Jordan, and then there was that one blowjob with Leroy. So I was like, neither of them is a relationship, so.
True, and not like a lot of the other exes on there, and
yeah.
So, did you realize that how big of a deal, speaking of your hookup with Leroy, was going to turn into?
What do you mean?
Like, after you allegedly, like last challenge, hooked up with Leroy on Twitter, a lot of people were talking about there was an after show where you were asked about it after you had injured your arm, and now this time a lot of people were talking about it after the challenge started, and Leroy quote unquote said it was toe curling. So did you realize that the fans and everybody would really keep bringing it up, and did you realize how big of a deal it was going to turn into?
You know what? I would say I feel like I'm one of the only people on this challenge, now that I know all these girls, who hooked up not with the purpose of, hey, let me hook up with this person or let me fight with this person to become their teammate, maybe layered on another challenge. I genuinely just did that because I was like, drunk and horny and I couldn't sleep. And I mean, it was just like a stupid. I mean, I did it. I'm not gonna lie about it. But I just thought that everyone would kind of sweep it under the rug because, in comparison to all the other relationships and hookups, ours was just so stupid and, you know, a one-time thing. But apparently, I mean, obviously, my skills are, you know, world class, as I like to call them. So I mean, I'm pretty sure it was talked about a lot, and there were a lot of guys in the house that were also curious, but they were not going to get to experience that whatsoever. So I guess they could just listen to Leroy's stories about it, his experience.
Well, you can't blame him for being curious, that's for sure. Uh,
No, you know what's funny? This last challenge night, like he used to get on my nerves. He'd be like, Nia, no? Yeah. I'm like, dude, hell no. Are you kidding? He was funny though. That's like he was like one of my favorites. Like Nia is fucking awesome.
all right. So, what was your first thought? Now, going into this challenge, you, of course, a lot of people don't like heights. What was your first thought when you saw the, as it's called, the "I Got You, Babe" challenge? Which I swear somebody must be a Sonny and Cher fan.
um, I was completely terrified. My partner is equally as scared of heights as I am. So I'm just like, fuck. In my mind, I'm like, I guarantee, because production knows that Leroy and I are afraid of heights, terrified. I'm like, we're going first. So although the show showed us going like fifth or sixth, we actually went first with Jay and Jenna. And then when our thing got stuck, it just made me feel even more uncomfortable because I'm like, technical difficulties, like we're 500 feet in the fucking air. I don't need any technical difficulties when I'm dangling like on a tightrope. It was horrifying. I couldn't wait for it to be over. But the worst part is how long it takes them to pull you up after you fall. Oh my God, like I almost fainted in my harness.
No, that would have been interesting. All of a sudden, you guys fall, and then somebody passes out after.
Like I almost fainted, and I kept telling me, I was like, you have to pull me up, you have to pull me up, because I was like literally just like eyes rolling in the back of the head. I was breathing so hard, I was shaking. Like oh my God. TJ would tell me before every heist challenge, he's like, Nia, you're not gonna die, and I'm like, I don't believe you.
Yeah, I'll admit it right now. I would not be good in a heights challenge either. I hate, especially nothing that high. Oh my goodness! How far up were you guys?
Later on in the season, I mean, I thought it couldn't get worse than that, and I'm like, you guys are fucking evil. Whoever is like coming up with these games is just pure evil.
You know what? I bet it's TJ.
Well, that's the thing. He's the only one who's brave enough to do this shit. So I'm like, wait, am I allowed to curse?
It's okay.
I'll keep it very minimal.
Yeah, keep it to a minimum. We'll be fine. I'm actually not sure if you are or not, so I'm just gonna say just be yourself. So, all right. So of course, this challenge was a very difficult one. It ended up being won by Wes and Teresa. Now, did you think you had any worry whatsoever after Wes and Teresa won? Did you think that maybe you guys were going to be thrown into, the exile? Well.
Yes and no. No, because me and Teresa are like this, but Wes and Leroy have a long history of beef. So I was like, and I know that the guys are going to be trying to make the decisions as far as, you know, who goes in. And I knew that Teresa was giving Wes the freedom to choose because she's just trying to get to the final. He's been there many of times. So I knew that she was going to allow him to handle the political game. So I was worried. So immediately I went to Leroy and I said, whatever it is that you and him have going on, you got to squash that now. Because as close as as close as I am to Teresa, and as much as Wes seems to like me, he might throw us in because of his, you know, vendetta against you. So I was just like, Leroy, I know you're not good at playing a political game, but I need you to start like today.
So, all right, Kylie and Kendall, how do you think you would have done in that challenge?
They're afraid of water. Like, they're afraid of getting in the bath. They're afraid of getting on elevators. There's no way in hell they would even look over that. Like, they're just as scary as their mom.
All right. So we got Wes and Teresa ended up winning it. A lot of people dropped, and that drop, oh my goodness, that drop had to be. The drop must be not only doing the challenge, but that drop must be so terrifying because you're just falling. Now, yes, you're being held up, but that's still a hard drop.
The fall didn't look that far on TV as it felt. Like, I mean, you can see the way everyone's body jerks. Like, as soon as your body is in free fall, it's like it's speed. So they slowed it down. They gave you the slow-mo effect, but if you were like hanging in an awkward way, it immediately gave you whiplash. Like there's a challenge that you'll see it towards the end of the season where the fall is like 3 times as far as that. I'm like, why would you do that to us?
Ouch. Yeah. All right. So you go into. We'll go ahead and talk about the battle between. It was. Let's see. Oh, stink! Justin, Dustin, and versus Adam and Brittany in the Dome. I was trying to think what it was called. I was like, Exile's not correct. That's what yeah. I was like, the Dome. I couldn't think for a second. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Now, were you surprised that who Wes and Teresa ended up selecting?
Totally. This is how, and this is something I learned in my second season. I still feel like, even though I'm technically a veteran, I feel like a rookie as far as learning about the game. I assumed, because we had a house full of people from Are You the One, and we had these Real World Explosion rookies, that we were going to get them the hell out of the game and then fight for it as a family amongst ourselves. I never thought that Wes or anybody was going to start pulling power moves and just start trying to get rid of veterans. But I think Wes is very, very smart as far as he knows people's likelihood. He can put the game to a science and statistics. And Jessica and Dustin were a 50-50 chance of coming back home. And obviously, just playing on the psyche of Brittany and Adam, like, they immediately are in a position of like feeling like they could be defeated because they're going against a veteran team that has had experience. But I looked at both of those teams and I said, this is going to be a game. It's going to come down to the wire of who can do it the fastest and and flawlessly. And that's exactly what happened. Obviously, when you send someone into the Dome, the last thing you want is for them to come back in the house. So, of course, Wes and Teresa were relieved that Jess and Dustin were there. But I think it also showed that the rookies had a lot of fight in them because people would expect a veteran team to not be beat by a rookie team, and that's what happened.
No, I'm just sorry. We got actually in the chat room as well, and I'm realizing that there's a lot of questions coming up. So I'm reading some of them. Here's a good question. How did you and Avery patch things up?
How did Avery and I what?
Patch things up, work things out.
Okay, so at the reunion last year, it was just one of those things where, like, we were in the same, room, and I just looked at her because I had already made up with Jordan. At the end of, obviously, you saw in the episode Real World Portland, I hadn't made it with Avery because I hadn't seen them until like one of the after shows, but I still didn't like them. And it was when we were filming the reunion, I remember just walking into the room and I felt like there was just this wave of like negative energy as soon as I walked in. And they just looked like, we don't want to fight with you. We're over it. This was clearly, obviously, like 6 months ago that this should happen. And I just felt like, why am I hanging on to this? And I basically extended a hand to Avery and Johnny, and I apologized to both of them. I said, hey, what happened. We can't take it back. I'm not apologizing for what I did, but I'm wanting to like let everything bygones be bygones. And since then, I've been cool. I was cool with Johnny Riley on Free Agents, and then this was the first time I saw Avery in the hotel before we went to Panama. She walked up to me with this ridiculously big smile and hugged me, and it was literally like we've never talked about it because it was so stupid and it should have never happened. Oh my God. She and I, we're both like, we should have always been friends. And that's one of the things I told her. I said, it's unfortunate that Jordan, came in between my relationship with you and Johnny. I mean, there's a lot of things you guys never saw that happened on the show that made me and Avery kind of not be friends, even though we should have. So ever since then, like, that's been my girl. And it feels so good because I felt like it really shows people that you can literally go from like the worst with people, and it doesn't have to be the end all, you know? Like, we were able to clearly punch the shit out of each other, try to kill each other, to now being like actual friends. I'm not doing this for TV or to like make myself look better. I genuinely adore Avery, and I just feel like it just goes to, it's a good thing. Like, everything happens for a reason, and it definitely shows people like you can, you know, forgive your enemies and move on. And ultimately, you know, we're like homegirls now. I'm hoping that because we're such good friends now, I'm hoping it doesn't like disqualify us as being partners on Rivals, because I would love for her to be my partner on Rivals, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, right now, if you had to pick a partner for Rivals, well, actually not pick one, but given one, I would say your partner would probably be Jordan.
Oh my God! That just gave me chills. I always talk about this. I told one of the producers yesterday in LA, I'm like, if they do a co-ed Rivals, you better give me fucking Jordan. I can get Johnny, that's fine, but I want Jordan, because Jordan, he doesn't believe in me as a competitor, and it's so sad because I'm not only a collegiate Division I athlete, but like even in my loss against Cara Maria last year, like that was the longest elimination round in history, because I do have heart and I was not gonna quit. I just couldn't go any further because I was injured, and Jordan just doesn't want to give me credit as being a competitor in this game. So I want to like I would hope that they could tie me to him so that he has no choice but to like believe in me.
Oh man! Now, of course, this season is dedicated to Night and Diem. We're not going to talk about the future episodes just yet, but we're going to talk about still on episode 1. What was some of the things that were you able to were you close with Night and Diem during the first episode, and who did you get to hang out with besides them?
Diem has been my friend since before the show. She's actually the girl. She actually created the opportunity for me to get my company Booty Belt on the Today Show, and she's always reached out to me even before we were able to meet. We were roommates on this challenge. Me, her, Avery, and Haley were bunkmates. Diem and Avery and Teresa were the girls that I was closest to this time around. So I basically, we were the ones who witnessed Diem becoming sick, and everyone thought it had to do with the peanut butter challenge, because she couldn't, you know, use the bathroom, and she was in so much pain, and it was immediately after the peanut butter. So we all thought, you know, well, that's what it has to do with, and it'll pass. No one imagined that it was colon cancer. I mean, obviously she didn't even know that, and so just watching her like grimace in pain every single day. She could barely get out of bed, but she was not complaining. You know, she wanted to be there. It was just like so sad, like to find out later that her body deteriorated and just couldn't put up a fight anymore, you know, within months. Like, she was dead and within 3 months of us last seeing her. And we always thought her and CT were going to come back in the house. And once I got home, and, you know, and she reached out to me, and she was supposed to call me like the week before she died. It's just like crazy to know that for someone who kicked cancer's ass like twice, to know that, you know, unfortunately it just came back, and
Yeah.
she can only do so much. So it was hard. I mean, it was for a while, like it affected me a lot. Like, I mean, I could literally cry right now, but I'm just trying not to, because I know my baby is like at peace, you know. But it's just like, it's just one of those things where it's a test of faith, man. Because I mean, I've asked God, like, really, you know, like that girl, like, she could not catch a break, and all she wanted to do was be here.
Yeah, and it was, you could tell that she just wanted to. I mean, she always seemed to enjoy life no matter what. I mean, I personally never had the opportunity to interview her, but just seeing her on the challenges and everything, she always had a smile on her face. I loved seeing her talk. I mean, this was one of the things that made me start crying. I'm honestly tearing up right now as I'm talking about it. But her wanting to talk about getting a surrogate and having kids and everything, that was just...
Yeah, I know. It's just, I'm not gonna cry. I cry constantly about Diem. I mean, it's
Right.
you know, it's like, if anything, like, her death has affected me, because it makes me realize how fortunate and wealthy I am when I say that I'm healthy.
Yeah.
To me, like, wealth to me is not money. It's not success. It's being here. Steve Jobs is a complete genius, an icon, an innovator, and he's successful. He's a billionaire, and he could not even save his own life with his money because he was not healthy. You know, and it's one of those things. Cancer is one of those things that, like, it's literally just the luck of the draw. I truly believe that it has nothing to do with. I mean, yes, there are things that contribute to cancer, but I mean, what do you say to a kid who doesn't even have a cancer gene, and they're dead at before they even get a chance to live life? Like, it just attacks the innocent and just anyone. So it made me realize, like, I mean, I was smoking cigarettes and doing like bullshit, and it made me realize, like, it's almost a slap in my girlfriend's face because she didn't do any of those things. She took care of her body, and she still didn't have the opportunity to be here how I am here now. So I mean, I think about her daily. She's obviously like the screensaver on my phone. Like, every time I see her on the show, it just makes me sad. And my friends and family, my boyfriend have been supportive. But I mean, and then the thing with Knight, like, Knight is one of those people. Like, when I first finished Real World Portland, there were a lot of people that did not like me, and they didn't even need a reason. They just chose not to because of the way I was portrayed on Real World Portland, which is fine. I mean, at the end of the day, that's not who I am in my real life, but that's unfortunately what I allowed to be portrayed. But Knight was one of those people that was like, dude, like, he immediately hit me up. We'd always fucking hang out. If I could depend on anyone in the house to day drink and get fucked up with or get messed up with me at like 2 p.m., it was Knight. He was just like the comic relief of the house and like just such a rock star. And when that happened, I was already so numb because of Diem the month before. Like, I remember just calling Zach and being like, what the hell is going on, like, with us? Like, why? Like, Diem was already a crushing blow to everyone, but Knight on Thanksgiving, just like, it was not cool. But it makes, what I would say this, it makes you appreciate each other so much more. Like, all the stuff that we get into, all the fights we get into on challenges, and the words that we throw at each other and like lash at each other and try to hurt each other, when stuff like this happens, it makes all that stuff dissolve. Like, I don't care about all the issues that I may have had on this season of the challenge. As you can see, there's some stuff that happens. None of that stuff matters to me, because for me, it's like, I was in good graces with Knight and Diem. The last thing I said to them were good things. I mean, me and Knight were supposed to hang out like literally 2 weeks before he died. But one of the things that scared me was, like, what if the last thing I said was F you? Like, what if, if it had been Jordan and the last thing I said was something horrible to him, and that's my last impression, not just in TV, but in real life. And it just made me realize, like, none of this stuff matters. Like, none of this, all the fights that we have are just so trivial and stupid. And if anything were to happen to any of us, we would obviously be affected, because whether we like to admit it or not, we are a family.
Yeah. Of course, you got your or I would say the godfather, Johnny Bananas, as the grandfather. So I love watching Kylie and Kendall as you were getting upset. They both looked up at you and were trying to take care of you. I thought that was cute.
It's funny. They're probably thinking I'm gonna cry and they want to eat my tears. They're like so disgusting. They try to like lick all my sweat and my tears when I cry.
Goodness. Well, we'll be talking about the Exile Challenge sweaters in a second, so maybe they would have enjoyed that challenge. Now, have you been able to watch Exile online?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'll ask you about that in a second. So let's go ahead and talk about the Dome, and then we'll go into the second episode. The Dome, of course, this is Brittany and Adam versus Jess and Dustin. And, of course, I personally thought that, again, like you were saying, that it would be an explosion people, or Are You the One? I thought maybe it would be Simone and JJ. But Wes took a strange kinship to JJ. I'm not sure what's up with that. But
I can tell you exactly what it is.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Wes is, when it comes to, like, boldness and strategy, and no one's better than Wes. Like, Johnny Bananas is good at it too, but Wes is more ballsier than he is. Like, he'll actually just say, at one point he was gonna throw in Johnny Bananas on the first one, but then Teresa's like, he's gonna come back, and then what does that do for us? It just makes our life hell. Like, that's stupid. Like, I know you were pissed off at him for throwing you in a billion times, but it's just not the right time. We're gonna win again, and then you can maybe throw him in. Not that that was a foreshadow. um, so, what was the question? Sorry.
JJ. What was Wes's bond, strange bond with JJ?
I never understood it when he first did it. I was like, why does he care? These rookies are unathletic. They're going to get destroyed at eliminations and in the challenges. Why is he trying to, like, gather them up and corral them? And, like, why would he want to be allies with them as opposed to, like, the veterans? But that's just, Wes is smarter than me. He's more experienced than me. Like, he's done this so many times. So there was a method to his madness, and he knew sooner or later there was going to be things that these rookies could win. And he wanted to have the power, when they did win, to control how they voted so that they could also do his dirty work for him. It is brilliant. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. I wrote down shit. Like, me and Wes used to just sit around, and he would just tell me, like, his philosophy and, like, how to play the game, because I don't play politically. I'm an athlete. I'm just ready to go in and, like, handle my business if I need to in an elimination. And that's how Leroy is too. But the political game is 50% of it. And Wes, like, I mean, he's just, I mean, it requires things that I don't like to do. I have integrity, and I like sportsmanship. I don't like to lie and exaggerate and, you know, like, snake my way through the game. But you have to if you want to win in challenges. And it just sucks. And I just recently realized that. But I mean, like, JJ and Simone really, like, I mean, obviously no one saw them as a threat, like, physically, but you may get a puzzle in that dome, and it has nothing to do with, like, physical brute or anything. It's just something that JJ could probably do. Hey.
I think they agree.
Hey, no. Sorry, I saw a dog.
It's okay. They're just expressing their opinion too. All right. So, now, Jess, of course, is somebody else who has used a booty belt, which is something that you sponsor and use. So, and that booty belt kind of backfired on her during this challenge, which is why I'm mentioning it. So it's. I don't know what it was, but it was like the America's Ninja Warrior type challenge where you had to lift yourself up, but you had to pull on your feet and the arms. You had to move a piece of wood, that is, and you had to place it in there. It was like, and it looked like the toughest challenge, one of the toughest challenges, like just strategically.
I looked at Leroy and I said, I hope they do not repeat elimination rounds like the games, like they did on Free Agents, because if you and I get this one, it is not going to be good. For one, my legs are so long. That is a challenge that is, if you're short and you can just basically get maneuvered by your male partner. Fuck. Sorry. Sorry. Hey, no. If you're
it's okay.
If you're short and you can get maneuvered, like literally picked up, like how Adam was just picking Brittany up and making her do whatever he wanted, like, it's okay. But if you have long, hey, no, I will put y'all in the bathroom. Guys, stop. Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
That was one of those that I was like, I don't ever want that one, because for one, it was all abs and it was all upper body, which is like not my strong point. And I mean, as you can see, it wasn't Jessica's butt that caused her to fall. It was if you lean back in the slightest bit, and as you saw, Brittany leaned back and she pulled Adam, but Adam was like smart enough to pull his hand out and catch her. Dustin didn't even think in that split second to do that because he didn't know he was able to do it. But Adam just happened to be like, oh shit, and then grab her, knowing that they were going to fall down. So that was one of those challenges where I'm like, I pray to God, or elimination rounds where I'm like, I hope to God I never get this game, because I'd rather just get in a physical situation and just have to like beat somebody up or like, you know, do a wrestling match than to have to do that. That one was like, no. I mean, it was hard. That was one of the hardest, whether people want to believe it or not. Like, that required a lot.
Well, the reason I blamed Jess's booty on it is because of what she said herself. She was like, "Yeah, my booty just
No, I mean,
gravity took over."
Jessica Dustin would have. It had nothing to do with her weight or her booty. Like they would have won. It just was. It Dustin would have caught her the way Adam did,
Yeah.
and it's neither of their fault. I mean, you don't in the moment. You're just adrenaline just pumping, and you don't really. In elimination rounds, it's not like you're going fifth or sixth or seventh. You're doing this one time. You only got one shot, so you don't really realize the technicalities of how things happen. Like perfect example, my elimination round against Cara Maria. Nowhere did I think, hey, is this going to cut off my circulation for 14 weeks and have me temporarily paralyzed? No, you don't think about those things. So it's like when it happens, it just happens in the moment. And that's what's the scary thing about elimination rounds is like there can be technical errors that can cost you to go home, that things that you can't control. If you saw when Jessica and Dustin fell, they could have seriously broke their ankles. They didn't even have enough, like it should have not let them hit the ground. They fell completely to the ground. And their chains, I mean, they were obviously ankles and hands in this thing. And watching it back, I was just like, I can't believe they didn't break their ankles because of like there was no or tension to like catch them. So I mean, shit happens, man. People, I probably got hurt on every challenge we did this season. I have scars everywhere from shit that like, I mean, it's just a part of the game.
All right, so of course, unfortunately, we see Jess and Dustin lose this challenge. Brittany and Adam go on and go back to the group, and Jess and Dustin head to exile, which nobody knew that they were actually headed to exile, not even them. They were. Everybody thought they were just evicted, or not evicted, but ejected, or whatever you want to call it, eliminated. So we'll get to the exile comp in a second, but we have to talk about the most sexually suggestive competition, I think, in challenge history.
Good.
Now, I guarantee you this comp was made by TJ or somebody that was just having some fun.
No, honestly, it's like it sounds like some shit that it just sounds like whoever made it up is like clearly really immature. And then it's funny because they always tell us, "Oh, try not to curse as much. This is a family show." I'm like, what is family about this? Like, come on, are you kidding?
Well, speaking about the family show, the very first, let's go into the second episode, and we'll talk about the very first round, which was first base, where you guys had to either suck or blow with the card, of course, and it pretty much had to kiss each other through the card and transfer the card to the very end. Now, I could see a lot of you roll your eyes and everything as this happened. What was going through your mind?
Oh, you saw me. I'm like, yes. And Leroy's like, I mean, I'm like, dude, come on. We're gonna win this. I'm thinking we're gonna like be first. I mean, he should know that. He was trying to be coy about it, but I'm like, dude, like we couldn't have asked, because the thing is, whoever lost that first round was going into the dome, and I'm like, well, the likelihood of me losing suck and blow, come on.
I know. I loved watching everybody on Twitter, the cast on Twitter during this challenge. And I was watching what you were saying. I was watching what Leroy was saying. I think I even made a comment to you guys. I was like, yeah. I was like, this should have just been named the Nia and Leroy challenge.
Or Zach and John A, because apparently she had no gag reflex.
Very true. That was very, very informative. Oh my goodness. So Simone and JJ, of all people, came in first in this one.
You know what? All right. If it was really about sucking the card, like, or whatever, yes. The thing is, it honestly wasn't that. It wasn't just like pulling in air, because it was like it wasn't like a piece of paper. It was like a difficult material. So you actually had to use you had to literally stick your tongue on there, keep your head back to keep it from blowing away because it was windy, and like almost like bend the card a little bit. I mean, I literally figured that out. So I was like, there's no way you can literally just pick this card up, suck it like this, and hold. It was impossible. Everyone had to go back to the beginning at least 3 times, every single team. So it wasn't like the way they edited it to make it look like one team just got it and like nailed it. Like JJ and Simone most likely dropped their card too. Everyone. I mean, it took a while for everyone to like get it done. because people had to figure out that, like, all right, you can't. It's not really suck and blow. You gotta like put your whole mouth on this thing and like use it to like for to get it to like stick. It was. I mean, Simone did well. She told me because she had lip gloss on. So I'm like, damn, I wish I would have had on some lip gloss.
You know what? I'm sure actually the lip gloss really did help because I'm sure the stickiness of it probably would have. Yeah, that's actually very smart thinking.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, she didn't have the lip gloss. She just chose to wear one to a challenge like a dumbass, but it worked in her favor.
All right, so of course, most of the people, a lot of people got by the first base. So now everybody moves on to second base.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the most interesting version of baseball I've ever seen in my life. It was, okay, so the women had to unscrew, take off a baseball bat, and the guys had to unscrew two balls.
Yes.
So, and of course, unfortunately, this was a challenge that you guys were eliminated from towards the end. But what did you think when you saw this part of the challenge?
It was just, I mean, it was funny. I was thinking that Leroy and I would still be able to, like, at least advance because I knew, I'm like, my part is, I mean, in order to give a world-class BJ, it's not just about the mouth, it's about the hands. I know I shouldn't probably say this, but I'm like, the wrist action, I got down packed. So I'm going to give mine off. Me and Diem were the first girls to get this thing off. No, wait, I think it was me, Diem, and Nani. I mean, and we were so ahead from all the other girls, it was hilarious. Like, the guys were like, yeah. Oh, my God.
All right, I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
The only person that was, like, screwed was Jordan. It's like, he had literally, it's like you needed your fingers for the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, dude, so I was like, okay, they're definitely not going to advance, but Jordan's so good at anything that I'm like, he might just fuck around and, like, beat everybody.
Yeah, and he was actually doing pretty good with that. Even with one hand, he was actually doing pretty darn good.
No, isn't it funny how, like, once he got the first one off, Sarah's like, you can use your other good hand. He's like, oh, and then he's like...
All right, so unfortunately you were eliminated in this one because I think in the next part, third base, you would have tore up.
Totally. I was so pissed when I saw it. I'm like, because Leroy cost us that one, so I'm like, that was a challenge that he and I could easily win, and I was just kind of bummed out. I'm like, dude, the eating. Like, first of all, peanut butter does not bother me. Like, everyone was freaked, like, grossed out because it was peanut butter. Like, obviously Jenna, because she only eats like one thing, like rice. Like, so she was completely disgusted. I mean, she had literally, before we started the challenge, she had just mentioned she doesn't eat peanut butter or jelly. She said that, like, that's like one of her things that she thinks is the most disgusting thing in the world. And when she saw this peanut butter, she literally just, like, she was devastated. We're like, okay, you're definitely not advancing.
Yeah, it seemed like Jenna had the eyes of many of the guys in the house.
Yeah. Fresh meat.
Especially during that first episode where her and Haley were doing those cartwheels.
Well, Jenna has a really cute little body, you know, and she's very sweet, and she's also she's like, hey, no. She's also untainted. A lot of these girls have hooked up, and they're like, this is how Zach explained it on the phone when he was on the phone with one of his friends from back home. He's like, you have, like, the veterans. He's like, they're like, you know, the old fruit that's been sitting around. It used to be ripe at one point, but it's not anymore, the veteran girls. And then you have, like, these fresh, like, juicy plums that just came in the house. And he was referring to, like, Jenna and, like, Brittany. It was so, and Avery, obviously, but, like, it was so funny. But, I mean, yeah, like, a lot of those girls have, you know, they've hooked up. They've been around, so the guys aren't, like, that impressed anymore. And Jenna was, like, fresh meat in a house full of, like, animals.
So I wonder. So I don't want to be smacked, but I want to know, where did you end on Zach's list?
I'm honestly, like, I I know that I'm hot, and would these guys probably fuck me if they could? Yeah, but we're not attracted to each other. I don't know if I just give off an air like don't even waste your time because it would never happen. But like the guys, like I'm like one of the boys with them. Like they,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, they'll say stuff like I've had a few of them like say stuff about my body or whatever, or say, oh, she's hot. But like I'm just so one of them, and that's how it was on
Yeah.
Free Agents. Like
You can definitely tell that you're one of the guys, and I think that's actually pretty
so
cool.
seriously,
You
like
you don't care about whatever. Like I was telling Ashley, who wanted to be here but is unable to because of her internet. I was
yeah.
telling Ashley, you can't offend Nia. You just can't. Uh,
No, not at all. I mean, like, this is my, you know why? Like, and I was trying to teach Jessica this because she's really sensitive, and like, if someone says anything about her, she believes it. But it's like, I know who I am. That's one thing that no one, not this show, no one in this universe could take away from me is my own truth. And my father taught me that. He's like, are you ugly? Are you stupid? Are you a loser? Are you this? And I would say this as a kid, like, no. He's like, then how can you allow someone else's words convince you of your own reality? So like, I know who I am. Yeah, like I'm 6 foot tall. I suck my thumb. I don't like clothes. You know, I use profanity. I'm okay with my flaws, and a lot of people just, aren't. And I'm also comfortable in my skin. Like I am who I am, and I know I'm a good person. So therefore, if I offend you, like there's certain things I've said around Jessica, and that's my homegirl, and she's like, "Nah, that is so inappropriate." But now it's like Jessica's to the point where she's talking about sex around me, and I'm like, "Remember when you used to get so offended when I was talking about like vibrators and masturbation?" But now, I mean, I just feel like I make people more willing to be themselves as opposed to being
yeah.
some like false character that they're trying to put on for the cameras. Like I don't care. I mean, my parents are so tired of hearing me talk about blowjobs on TV. But it's my reality. I mean, that's what happened. Sorry. I mean,
Man.
not doing that in life.
So, all right, let's give. Oh, goodness. Let's get back to third base and looking off the peanut butter. And you need to. The challenge was you need to lick the peanut butter off to uncover the numbers that were underneath to unlock a combination, to unlock a pair of poles. So a lot of teams were going at it, and a lot of teams did not want to. Jenna could not finish, and as soon as Jenna started throwing up, JG started throwing up. So they were like, oh, nope, we're done. So of course, I know for a fact you would have done great in this one. Like I was just saying. Now, were you surprised by who was doing the best in this challenge?
No, because I just felt like it was so easy. Like I was literally watching this. Like first of all, I'm hungry, so I would have enjoyed this peanut butter. And second of all, it's just licking. Like it's peanut butter. It's not like cat piss or like something gross that you wouldn't want to put in. It's like this is stuff we eat on a regular basis. Me and Leroy would have done tremendously well. I mean, that was one of those challenges that I was like, if we would have, it was anybody's game. It didn't matter how strong you were or whatever. It was just a game of like a bunch of like clever, quirky things, So,
Yeah.
All
right.
If anything, I wish I wish they didn't even advance past the first one because I mean that's one of the things I feel like contributed to like her having to leave sooner than she did because of whatever. But
Yeah, that peanut butter was, and also everybody was saying that peanut butter tasted nasty. I wonder what kind they actually used.
I almost wanted to try it. I'm like, peanut butter is peanut butter, but it had been sitting out in the sun for like 5 hours before we got there. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there were things that were stuck to it that were not peanut butter, like flies.
And now here comes. Here we go. We're finally at home plate, and this had to be whoever came up with this 4-part competition.
Put it in the hole. Shove it.
Exactly. Each partner had to grab a 30-foot pole, and they had to put the pole in each other. And I was like, okay, wow. If this was, I seriously want to know who created this challenge, who created Rounding the Bases challenge.
I realized the girls had the receiving pole too, so it was like so immature. I'm like, oh my god.
It really was, but it was funny as anything because Wes actually got it in to Teresa's end, but it wouldn't pop.
Maybe because it was already popped. I mean, I'm sure all of ours was already.
And guys, if you have never watched the challenge, then you don't know the history of that joke. But seriously, if you have, you know why both of us are laughing. Uh, so Wes is having trouble popping it out, and of course, Bananas and Nani won it.
Uh-huh.
So. No. Did you think Bananas was going to throw Wes in? Let's be honest here. I thought Bananas was going to throw Wes in.
No, you were saying you thought Wes was going to throw bananas in?
No, Bananas and Nani ended up winning this one.
Oh,
So,
you're right. No, I didn't because for one, like I knew it was going to be a full-on war between Wes and Bananas because Wes at some point was going to throw Bananas in, and Bananas knew that. And neither of not them nor their teammates got along. It was like they equally just hated each other. Teresa and Nani completely were just like, I mean, they tried to like, get them together, and it did obviously backfired. But I know that Wes and Bananas is not stupid. He's thrown in Wes into 8 eliminations. Like he knew if these guys keep winning, like which is a high likelihood in the challenges, then at some point we're going in early. And if West throws in Bananas, I mean, if Bananas loses or if West throws in Bananas, either way, it's going to be orchestrated to where Johnny Bananas and Nani are going to go against a strong team. So he knew this.
yeah.
I mean, they both were aware of like what was going on. It was just like the wild, wild west. Like you just got to come with your A game. I mean, it was intense. I mean, for one, I still was in Leroy's ear, like, have you made up with Wes yet? Please tell me.
All right, so now it is time for the dome. And when you saw the dome challenge, did you have flashbacks?
You have no idea. I mean, obviously, everyone looked at me like, look familiar? And I'm like, oh my God. And like, you know what I said? I literally looked over when they were like in between setting them up. I told Avery, I said, they need to put a pad right here because they had the harnesses like literally there in the same exact place for me. And I'm like, so you guys are gonna do the same shit. I mean, obviously they fixed it after when when Camilla went against Teresa last season, and they fixed
Yeah.
it in padding. So I'm like, okay, you've watched what happened to me. Why would you even take a chance on that? It costs nothing to put a like 50-cent piece of foam between the belt and your actual like tissue, and they didn't. So I was literally watching this like it's gonna happen again because that elimination round was a good, I'd say 25 minutes long, and I was like eventually one of them is gonna like try to move and then realize their arm is like this. So I was so hard to watch. I was just like, dude. But I mean, mine was 2 hours long, so.
Yeah. I saw the challenge. I was like, oh, I'm so glad Naya's not in this one.
Woo! That would have been a nightmare.
Because this one I felt so sorry for you last challenge and seeing you versus Cara Maria, and just that was one of the toughest things I've ever seen on a challenge.
I've never gotten over that. I've never gotten over it because there were so many ignorant people in the house because I was facing the opposite direction, so no one really saw what I was going through besides TJ and the producers. When it happened to me, they were like, oh shit, because I was like, I cannot move. And I was like, there's something wrong with my hand. I did like this, and it just fell. And TJ's like, this is not a timed event because I was closer than her. So I'm thinking, well, I got closer, I'll win. He's like, no, dude, you're going to be here all night. And it got to the point where they were just literally giving me the like sign to like give up because my skin, my muscle, and my bone were not even moving together. It was like you could literally just like pick up everything that was not. It was horrible. It was horrible. So, I mean, I definitely, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but I mean, I do think I would have dominated that challenge because I am heavier than a lot of the girls. So that one was like, I mean, you can stretch the band out with the more body mass you have. It's not like and also it was a rubber band. It wasn't a tight, thick, like hay rope or anything where it was wrapped around a bunch of poles. So that one I probably still would have won, but it would have not been fun to have deja vu.
Yeah, I definitely not. Now, All right, so we go into the dome, and it is Johnny and Avery versus Thomas and Haley. Now, who did you think was going to end up winning? When, of course, you know this challenge better than anybody. Who did you think was going to have the advantage?
I hoped that Johnny and Avery would win. I love Haley, and I got along with Thomas really well, but obviously, like, I want my girl there. So I didn't know. I was like, this is going to be anybody's game, and if one of them puts themselves in the stance that I was in when I like got put all my weight on my upper body, I was afraid that what happened to me would happen to one of them, and you lose power when one side of your body is not working. It just becomes dead weight, and you have to. It's impossible to move without half of your upper body or half of any part of your body. So I was scared because they were neck and neck the entire time, and I'm like, damn. And obviously none of us know about the exile, so it's not like, oh, well, we might see him again. It's like we're thinking this is it. But Avery somehow pulled it off. And I will say this, I mean, I've obviously, like, I've known that Avery ain't no punk. Like, she got heart. So I was, once she started advancing, once she made it to the thing, or I guess like the little point where Johnny could go off, I knew that they had it in the bag because, for one, he already messed up. He put them in the position of being in the elimination, but I knew that if she could get it done, then he was gonna, come through. So that was so intense to watch. Even when you see where she looks over at Haley, it gave me chills. Because it's one of those things where you see your competition right by you, and it's like you have to make a decision right there. Like, I'm gonna die before I let you win, and that's how I felt with Maria. But it was like, no, I might die if I don't like just quit.
Oh man! All right, so of course. Johnny and Avery ended up winning this, and everybody had to say bye to Thomas and Haley, not realizing that Thomas and Haley weren't being eliminated. They were headed to exile to battle Dustin and Jessica.
Yeah.
Now, when you saw, well, before we talk about exile, of course, on the previews at this end of this episode, we saw what happens in the next episode. We see CT calling for an ambulance and different things like that. And everybody, of course, at the end of this episode, DM tells CT to go out, have fun, and everybody's thinking it's because of the peanut butter that she's upset and everything like that. And I truly wish it was just the peanut butter. Yes, then, but yeah, CT is trying to be there. When it comes to CT on any challenge that's never had DM on there, CT is just cocky and everything.
Completely different. He was like, I used to sit, like, we'd be at the pool, and she'd be like sunbathing, and he'd come over and like bring her a drink, or like just like come over and talk to her, and she'd give him like not the cold shoulder, but just kind of play hard to get. And it was like watching like The Notebook. We used to literally just sit, me and Avery and Tracy would just sit in the pool and just watch him like it was a show. He was completely different on that because she was there, and he really wanted to prove to her that he had changed. So that was really cool. I mean, it was so sweet. Just, I mean, their whole story, I mean, it's like damn near a decade long,
Yeah. Now, I've seen every single challenge that they have ever been on together. So I've seen every challenge to ever exist. So back to when even The Miz wasn't a WWE superstar, but he was a real worlder.
Yeah.
So of course, we see the previews coming up, and CT's calling for the ambulance, and I know you can't talk about that, but I gotta say that this episode coming up, I, of course, wasn't there, you were, but just as a fan, from a fan's point of perspective, I can say I'm sure that all of us are going to need Kleenexes next episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. So we're me and you both, because every time I see the show, every time I see Night or DM, I start crying as well. So
yeah.
All right. But speaking about another form of liquid, let's talk about the Exile Challenge, the Sweaters Challenge. Now, this was a very up close and personal game, because it was very interesting how they had to get the... Now, of course, for those who ever watched the Exile Challenge, you can go to MTV.com, and you can actually watch the Exile on there, and you'll be able to see Dustin and Jess versus Thomas and Avery, and you'll see who exactly wins. Which we're going. I mean, sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Yeah, Thomas and Haley. Thomas and Haley, not Avery. Wow. I had two teams mixed up. So we have, it's the sweaters. Each team must accumulate 1 liter of sweat, or well, as much sweat as you can in this time limit, because it was like a 10-minute time limit, with a squeegee, a towel, and a sponge. And oh my goodness, what did you think about the Exile Challenge when you saw it? And how do you think, if you and Leroy were there, how do you think you would have done?
It was funny because I didn't hear about. I talked to Jessica obviously, but like I never knew what all the games that they did. So when I saw that one for the first time, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna have to drink it, because there's something really disgusting that I did in the house.
What'd you do?
I don't know. They're probably not going to show this. My bank card expired while I was out of the country. So at one point, I only had like $20 cash to my name, and I was like, "Damn, I need some more money." Like, you know, obviously, I knew I didn't really need money, but I was joking with the guys. We're all working out, and Johnny and Zach are drenched in sweat, and
no,
they're like, "How much do you want? How much would you do? What would you do for $70?" And I jokingly was like, they were like, "I dare you to, we'll work out, we'll bring our shirts out into a cup and you have to drink it, and we'll both give you cash to like use at the bar, you know, whatever." It wasn't the money, because first of all, I really genuinely didn't need money for anything while we were there, because everything was technically paid for. And then drinks, it's like I can just make one of these drunk assholes buy me drinks. But I don't back down from dares. As you can see, where I ate the cookie out of Leroy's disgusting toes last season.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize the color of the water. Like, so I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. But I really didn't plan on doing it. And then I ended up doing it. And this was, I mean, I don't think they're going to show this. I mean, even if they do, I don't really think I'll get in trouble for it.
It's not, I was going to say, it's not an integral part of the challenge, so I'm sure you're not going to. It
was like this much in a cup full of brown, it looked like ramen noodle water. And so I smelled it. It didn't smell like it. And not to mention, it wasn't just Zach's sweat. It was Johnny Riley's too. So he's getting in on it. They're like wringing out their shirts in this cup. And I just had to swallow it. And I mean, this is honestly one of those things I'm so embarrassed to mention, but like at the time, I just thought we were all bored and it was funny. I poured it in my mouth, and my throat literally locked up like, bitch, I am not going to swallow that. So like I just threw up everywhere.
Oh my goodness. That's
it was disgusting. I was like, I could have literally got sick from doing that. It was horrible.
Oh man! All right, so this is a challenge that if you were not in a relationship with somebody during this, like before this challenge, and they hadn't seen all your bits and pieces, you definitely did during this.
Yeah. Well, for one, like me and Leroy, we like Thomas and Haley don't like. You can tell certain people when they work out, they don't sweat. I sweat. Like, even when I'm not working out. So, like, I knew, I was like, well, that's another one we could have won, because I am a person, like, as soon as I work out, like, everything, my arms have beads of sweat, my legs, my abs, my face, my neck, everything. So I felt like that one was like, how much sweat do you naturally produce when you work out? And, I mean, me and Leroy both drip. So I was like, well, I mean, definitely we could have done well on that one.
Yeah. It was funny, though, because it was weird how certain body parts that Dustin could have just reached himself, but just got it off of him.
Yeah, like,
and then Dustin and Jessica had gotten a certain chest area, but Dustin ended up getting it off of Jess.
I don't know. I mean, I would not let Leroy put his hands on my pants. I don't care if it's do or die time. You're not putting your hands on me. No.
But I loved everybody's comments during this challenge, because Jess was like, well, was it everything you imagined? After he did that, I was like, you know what? So, Yeah, I think that you definitely would have done good in the Exile Challenge, and I'm curious to see when all of you find out about Exile. But of course, this Exile was won by Dustin and Jessica. So
Yeah.
now, is that who you wanted to win between the two teams?
I mean, of course, like obviously I have a longer history with Jess, so I love her, and that's like that's one of my good friends. I love Haley, and I like Tom, and I want to see them do well, but it's like unfortunately they keep going against people that I like, so it's like, like I have a longer history with, or I'll say. So
Yeah.
yes, I mean, I was excited to see Jess and Dustin, win that first one.
All right. Well, we have gone. We actually finished right at the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
So I want to ask: is there anything you want to tell the fans about what's coming up, or where they can reach you, your Twitter handle, anything like that?
Yeah, the my Twitter and Instagram is the real Nia Moore, and my name is Nia Moore. And then, I mean, I would just say this season gets better. Like that last episode, I was like, it's kind of boring compared to like what I know is going to happen. Like it gets ridiculous, like as episodes go on. The next challenge that we have next week is going to be hilarious to watch. So definitely tune in. Um, it's going to get better and better and crazier and crazier. So, I mean, honestly, the finale is going to be sick. It's going to be like, this is to me like a season that's going to be talked about for a very long time. Not just because, the situation with DM and Knight, but because of how it all ends. So definitely want to stay tuned. You can't miss anything because you'll like be confused. You won't know what's going on with the whole storyline. So you have to watch everything.
Yeah, and I just want to say that there was one friendship that I saw that you actually ended up growing with throughout the first couple episodes. That was you and Nani. You and her, are you two still close? Because you and her seemed to grow a bond while you were there.
Uh, I think you might got me confused with somebody else because that me and her did not. We didn't hang out.
No, you were talking because during the second episode you were talking to. Was it Nani or Teresa you were talking to?
In the second episode, I was talking to Teresa and I was
Oh, sorry.
back to Nani.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. That's right.
Yes,
I'm
I was not on good terms, or I was not, cool with Nani.
no. Reverse that. That's what I meant.
Oh.
So, yeah, because no, Teresa was getting a lot of bad talk. It seems like either Teresa or Nani, or there's always one person that from any season that always gets the bad. Like last challenge was you. Last
Oh, yeah.
challenge was.
That was the thing. When I was on Free Agents, I felt like every female in the house, with the exception of Jessica, chose to not like me, but none of them had a reason. I mean, obviously, in my face, they were all nice. But once I got home, I just heard all of this shit, and I'm like, you guys were all nice to me. So that's why I went on this challenge, and I just said, you know what? Anybody who was in that house, any of those females, I'm literally just gonna I'm gonna dead you because I know you're going to try to be friends with me on the show, but I think it's just fake when you can smile in my face here but then disrespect me when I'm gone. And so, even with Teresa, there was a few things where I had to say like, hey, like, I heard things, but we squashed it way before we got on the show. And so with Nani, I didn't have that opportunity with her, so it was just like, dude, I heard shit, and it just doesn't make me feel good because I gave everyone my best on Free Agents, and I was as nice as I could possibly be, and I was being judged for something that happened back in 2012, that Jordan and Johnny and Avery weren't even mad at me about anymore. But I mean, it just goes to show that I think that it was more so the fact that they knew I was going to be competition, and coming in as a rookie, they're like, this girl she has the capacity to fuck around and end up going far in the game, because the one thing they can't take away from me is the fact that they don't want to go against me, regardless of if they say it out loud, they don't. So you'll see.
All right, I want to say thank you for coming on today. Thank you for being here for this interview. Thank you, Kylie and Kendall, wherever you are over there.
Oh, look at them. They're just so ridiculous. They're like patrolling.
You're two little guard dogs. I love your videos that you take of them on Instagram and different things like that. When you do,
Oh my God. I mean, obviously, I'm so obsessed. I mean, they have their own Instagram. I'm so obsessed with them. I just wish they were a little bit more uh, classy when it comes to like other dogs. They might. They might.
Oh, which one's that, Kylie or Kendall?
This is Kylie. Kendall's it.
Not Kylie. Hey, Kendall. All right, so I want to say thank you again, and guys, feel free to follow Nia on Twitter and Instagram, like she said, at the Nia Moore. And guys,
More.
I'm sorry, what she said. I'm going to get it wrong again, so I'll just say that's what she said. All right, guys, have a great night. Tune in.
Thanks for tuning in.
And have a wonderful week, and make sure you tune in to the challenge coming up this week. All right. Take care, everybody.